Hi, everyone. This is Eliza Coleman, the stunt coordinator on Hereditary and Kevin Williamson's film Sick, and you are watching Craven Something Scary.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, visitors, subscribers, my patrons, and of course, my channel members, otherwise known as my Cravenites. Welcome to Craven Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Well, guys, tonight is a great night I've been waiting for several weeks now, and it is having a familiar face back to the channel who I thoroughly enjoy visiting with and hearing about his amazing work. And I know you will as well. So if you've been a part of the channel for a while, you've seen him, you know him. And for a lot of you here that are newer to the channel, you may not have seen my previous discussions with Alex. But if that's the case, I highly encourage you to go to my interviews playlist and you'll be able to scroll and see my interviews with Alex and many other folks in the horror movie stunt world, actors, directors. It runs the gamut. So go check it out if you have not done so. Before we bring on Alex, I just want to remind you all that your questions are welcome. So please do put your messages in the chat box and that you have for Alex in his time filming Thanksgiving with Eli Roth, as of course John Carver, and what an amazing job he did. Questions are welcome. We're going to talk about other films he's been a part of as well, and it's going to be a fun night. We're just going to have a good time, and I'm glad you're all here for the ride. And for those of you who are not watching this live, you're watching it on replay a week from now, a day from now, heck, 6 months from now. Welcome to you as well. Glad you're here. Now, I will say this, because of time and volume, we probably won't be able to get to everyone's questions, as you know. But if you have a burning question, like you just got to get an answer, you want to ask Alex something, you have one-on-one direct access to him right now on this show, you can send in a super chat. And what that will do is move you to the front of the line ahead of everyone else. And I always pledge to you that we will not end the stream until every super chat has been addressed and Alex has an opportunity to answer your question. So I just want to offer that to you as an option. And it also really helps the channel when you do that so that I can do more streams and make more content and expand the channel so we can all continue growing the community together, right? That's what it's about. So keep that in mind, all right? Now, having said that, I want to welcome back to the channel someone who I consider a friend. I think we have a great relationship. He's so generous and kind and humble, and he's back again and giving his time for us again. And I want you all to give him a round of applause, please, in the chat as we welcome back John Carver. Not John Carver. I know it is John Carver. It's Alex Armbruster. Welcome back, Alex.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And it's such a joy to be back with you once again to catch up and what's been going on and also talk about your amazing work in the past. So this is going to be a good time for sure. Now, I do want to ask you because, I want to spend some time on Thanksgiving for those who are here who perhaps the first time are not, weren't aware of the other video interviews yet. So I would love to talk to you about how the process came for you to have the opportunity to join Eli Roth's film as the killer in costume, John Carver, for the majority of the film. So
yeah,
you let us know how that started, please.
Sure. Yeah, it was kind of like an unconventional way of getting the job, actually. So, so I do stunts primarily, and I work up in the Toronto area most of the time. And a lot of feature films and TV shows film up here. And I'm always looking to see what's going to be coming in next, you know. And I saw that this movie Thanksgiving was coming. So I looked up who was stunt coordinating that, and that happened to be a guy named Dan Skeen, who is a friend of mine, and we've worked together several times before. And I sent him a text message, and I saw that there was a fellow named Patrick Dempsey that was going to be attached to the film. And I looked up his dimensions, his height, and everything, and I saw he was 5'9". I'm 5'9", and I said, "Hey, man, I'm Patrick Dempsey's sizes if you need a double for him." And he says, "Actually, I do need a double. Do you want the job?" And I said, "Sure."
Wow.
And little did I know it was going to lead to, you know, playing John Carver. And basically, I showed up on set one day, and they decided to put me in the pilgrim outfit which they called it at the time. I didn't even know it was, you know, John Carver. And I dressed in the costume. I thought it was going to be a normal day at work, which would be me going in and, you know, the actor doing their thing, and I would sub in, and I would do the stunt portion of the choreography. But we didn't have a chance to rehearse anything. It was a bit of a lower budget of a film, so we didn't have all of these rehearsal days that we would normally have on a big feature film. And we kind of came up with the choreography like on the spot. So I showed up, and it turned out Patrick, it was a night shoot too, and he decided that he, you know, didn't need to be there for that. He's a film veteran, right? So there was no dialogue in the scene, and so this scene that I'm talking about for the first time when I was first in the outfit was the diner fight with the waitress Lizzie. And so there was no dialogue for that at all. So he basically, I think, decided that I was able to do that for him. And this was the first time that John Carver was on screen. So that was him basically putting a lot of trust in me for this, you know. And so I owe him big time for that. And luckily, the production and Eli really liked what I did that night. And they kept asking me to come back and do more, basically. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did that feel, man? Like all of a sudden you're doubling him, but then you're turning into some completely different character who is frankly the central figure, if you really think about it, of the movie John Carver.
Yeah.
And what was that? I hate to say metamorphosis, but what was that? How did that feel to go from expecting this and doing this to all of a sudden, hey, by the way, put this on?
It was really like I had to when I first was told that I'm going to be like doing that whole thing. It was like and it was a moment of like me reading through we call them the sides, which is like the daily script for the day that we're shooting. And I was going through the entire scene, like as I'm getting dressed into the outfit, and I'm like, what do I even have to do today? And then it's like the whole diner fight. I'm like, oh man, so I have to carry the whole day, the whole shooting day, basically. So it was like my first thought was like, okay, this is a lot. This is a bit overwhelming, but let's focus and let's get to it. And luckily, it was a good day. I was very sharp-minded that day. I was able to get through it all, you know, and I started to get used to that as we went on and on throughout the movie. And I was kind of realizing as going through it, like, okay, this is because I never got the whole script at the beginning. So I'm figuring this whole thing out as we're going.
Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah.
That's even another level, right?
Yeah. Because I wasn't hired as one of like the main cast members. So I never saw the whole script. And so I would just get these daily scripts of the scenes that we were shooting. So I'd be just like kind of figuring it out as we went along.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I could never tell. I can tell you that because
Thank you.
your execution was fantastic, Alex. Just
thank you.
I mean, honestly, you know, and I really mean all of this from the heart. When I first saw the movie, I said, okay, first thing I got to do is watch it again. immediately. I got to see it a second time. And what really grabbed me, of course, it was a great story. Actors were wonderful, right? It was well directed. All those things were there. But what grabbed me in particular was this John Carver character, because Alex, as you know, with me loving slashers, that's my favorite genre of horror. And as you know, there's a lot of masked villains that you
Yeah,
don't, right, with a knife or a weapon, whatever their weapon is.
sure.
And when I watch these, as many as I can, when I watch all these slasher films, I always watch the character, the actor who's playing the character of the killer. And like, how are they just going through the motions, so to speak, or does it look that way? Not saying they are,
Sure.
but what I immediately noticed with your movements, and you have a mask, you can't express your face, but you found a way to bring life to a mask that doesn't move. And
Mhm.
the way you handled yourself through your movements, I felt confidence in you. I felt someone who's in complete control. They are not intimidated by anything, and they're going to get their prey. Those are and when I watched the movie the first time, and again the first thing I said is, I got to meet this guy. I've got to meet this guy. I
Yeah.
have to, and that's what started the whole thing. And just in terms of playing John Carver, did you put like a lot of thought into, or was it just natural? Like, how did you communicate those nonverbal attributes, if you will, in the
Yeah.
costume?
Yeah. Well, I was trying to think of like, okay, Patrick's character, for example, as a sheriff, like he's got
Mhm.
some sort of a maybe a tactical background. He's got some training under his belt, right? So I'm trying to
Yes.
think of his movement from that point of view and how there wouldn't be any wasted movement. So everything he does is very efficient. um,
Yes.
and and maybe as a police officer you would have a lot of eyes on you, so you have to be politically correct in your daily job and everything, and then
Yep.
when you get the mask on, then you can really let loose, and really become the assassin maybe that he
Mhm.
wants to be. So I'm trying to think of it from that point of view, and you can really see it in the one scene with the beheading of Tim Dillon's character Manny. Like
Oh,
that one, when I was going through that, I really felt like an assassin, and I was,
yes.
yeah, so that's what I was channeling in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, and like I say, it communicated to me on the screen,
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
just a dominance, like just I'm in control,
Yeah,
and and you know what, you could have lost me, but you didn't, because you fed Dewey, and you
yeah,
left, and you gave him a little pet, and
yeah,
that to me was like, okay, I love this character. I mean, I've
yeah,
gone beyond. I just love this character because even amidst killing someone, beheading them, you're still compassionate in some way towards the
exactly.
cat.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
still you're still kind of relatable because, like,
Yes.
there's situations in everyone's lives where we kind of like fantasize of like, oh, I wish I could do that to someone sometimes. But then like, but it's still relatable. You still like the cat didn't do anything,
No.
like you
No.
gotta, you can't hate on an animal like that. So
That's right.
yeah, it makes you like John Carver a little bit more for sure.
It
And I'm a cat
does.
person, and I thought that choice was like so great and so perfect.
It
I love.
was, and of course the cat's name was Dewey, which I have to believe was Eli's homage, a little tip of the hat to the Scream franchise.
Oh
That's how
yeah,
I,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Could have
with
been.
Dewey.
Yep.
Um, but I'm telling you, it was just, it's like, even though all these horrible things are happening, and all these really wicked murders, Dewey the cat just made it all okay for some reason. It just was like, you know what, this guy's not all evil. There's something behind all this that we don't know about yet.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and which of course was the great mystery, right, of the movie.
yeah,
Um
yeah. It kind of messes with your emotions a little bit. It's like, oh, maybe it's a bit harsh that he's killing all these people, but then, you know,
Right.
but the cat, like, maybe these people do deserve it. I don't know.
Yes, exactly, man. Bingo.
Yeah.
Now, and again, I think I have an kind of an inclination to what you're going to say, but I still want to ask the specific question. When you did put the costume on, you got in the suit, you got the hat, the mask, you got the axe. Was there a moment like when did you stop becoming Alex and becoming John
Mm.
Carver? Was it like on set when you had that all good together? Did you like flip that switch, or when did that moment come?
It definitely like developed the more I was in the costume.
Okay.
I definitely like felt more at home in the mask, like the further we went with it. But
Mhm.
the first night, like during that diner scene, it
Ooh,
really set the tone and
yes,
gave me the confidence to keep going with what I was doing. You know,
that's right.
because in terms of like you know, Eli would give me direction on like where to go and like what to do for certain things. Like he kind of was like, oh, you know, when you pick up the axe, can you do a little something with it, you know? And then I just gave it like, how about this, like a little like axe spin kind of thing. Nothing too
Yes.
crazy, nothing too flashy, but something just a little flair, just to
Hmm.
give it some texture, you know,
Yeah.
and try to
Attitude.
give a little, yeah, just try to give a little insight into the character. He's a little bit playful with some of the stuff. He's so confident that he can play with his weapons a little bit
Yes,
before he goes for the kill, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
Never, you never feel like he's in a hurry. The
No, no.
guy, he is taking his time and
Yeah,
doing it
he
however he
knows
wants.
what their next move is going to be, you know.
Yes,
Um,
that's
yeah,
right.
especially with like, you know, yeah, slamming the face on the freezer door, and then she can't get into her phone. Like it almost seems
Right.
like it's pre-planned in a way, you know.
Exactly. Yes. And speaking of the diner scene, which to your point, it does set the tone. Like, oh wow, this is who we're going to be. This is who we're going to be dealing with as an audience. Like,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
Now, how many takes did you guys go through to get that scene where you wanted it to
Um,
be?
it was all cut up in different pieces. There was for I think it was maybe only typically two or three for every shot. Yeah, it was the trickiest part of that was dunking her head in the sink,
Mm.
and then she was for that one. She started already in the sink for that shot, and then I pulled her out, and then I had to reach for the freezer door. Right
Mm-hmm.
now, the
Mm-hmm.
tricky part with this is if anything hits my hat or my mask at all, I'm blind and I can't see. So unless I
Oh,
physically like fix the mask so I can see again, which is kind of obvious, right? So I'm trying
right.
not to do that. It's you know I'm blind.
Oh,
So for the first one of pulling her out, we did it a little. It looked a little too mellow, not intense enough.
okay.
But the tricky part with that is she's all wet and stuff, and we needed to reset her and all this as well. So she
Ah,
didn't, yeah, maybe she didn't start in the sink. I think she started, yeah, she started out of the sink, and then we had to dunk her in and then pull her out. That's what it was. So she did
wow.
have to have dry hair and, you know, makeup done and all this stuff prior to starting the take. So after that one, it took like an hour for her to get all reset, and then we had to
Oh,
do it again. So now pressure's on. You don't really want to screw the next one up, you know.
right. Right.
So we did the next one, but then she came out, and then her head or her arm or something hit my hat, and then I was blind. So I really didn't want to just like stop the take. So you can see me in the movie. I'm reaching for the freezer door behind me, and
Yep.
I'm like, you know, I'm feeling for it because I can't see a single thing. And I'm like, I need to get her face on this door. So yeah, I just needed to get through
Wow.
that. And it ended up working fine. But you can see in the take if you look closely that I'm
Okay.
kind of reaching for it.
Oh man, but and I do remember that. But
Yeah.
it's funny when I saw that, like I almost took it as like you're just trying to get your strength, like you're holding her, but you're trying to, but you're trying to reach for that door.
Right.
I never thought of it as you can't see the handle. So I never even, if you hadn't shared that tidbit, I would never guess that. So
Yeah.
it just looked very natural to me, you
Yeah.
know, in the moment.
There was another
Um,
scene with Gabriel, who played Scuba, when I was chasing him and Jessica out of the dining room
yep.
set, and then they run out into the John Carver house, and then outside into the forest, right? So
Yes.
there's a point where we come out, and then Scuba turns around, he throws a barrel at me, and I have to hit it with the axe, and then I hit him in the arm and slash him, and then he's down on the ground. That scene where he's throwing the barrel at me, and I have to hit the barrel and then hit him, and then run out of the house downstairs to the outside. That took
Yeah.
several takes, probably like 10 takes, because the barrel kept hitting my hat and made it so sometimes the hat would fly off and the mask would go with it, and you just see me with like a belly clav on.
Oh no.
So we had to figure that out, and then the one take that it worked. It did hit it off a little bit, so I was blind, but I had to just keep going.
Yeah.
And flying down the stairs anyway, and I knew kind of where the stairs were, and it was like a set of maybe like 8 stairs, so I couldn't just like jump over the stairs, but I tried to kind of like just glide over them.
Oh man, trying not to break an ankle or a leg, right? Or something.
Yeah.
Oh
Just
my
trying
gosh.
to make the take work without screwing the whole thing up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that's incredible, man. And we're gonna get back to some more Thanksgiving talk because I know you guys are loving this as much as I am. And we do have a couple of super chats and that just came in actually, and they're both basically asking the same question, and it's
okay.
one you and I talked a bit about backstage. But let's be honest, they love Thanksgiving. We love Thanksgiving. We love you as John Carver. So it's natural that we're going to get questions like this. Julie, who's moderating the chat tonight, thank you, Julie, for being here and for being such a great moderator and friend. I appreciate you so much. And I would ask that all in the audience to please thank Julie for being a moderator tonight because she does an incredible job keeping this place, the environment that I want it to be positive, supportive, no negativity. And she does an amazing job, as well as Sarah and my other mods. But Julie, you're here and I thank you. And your super chat, thanks for your support.
Thanks, Julie.
Says, yes, it's so kind. Alex, are you in Thanksgiving too? It's the question we all wanted to know. And
yeah,
well,
I would like to know too. I don't know yet. I hope so. I'm trying to keep it open. The last I heard, originally they were supposed to start shooting by the end of March, like very shortly. The last I heard, it's gotten pushed, and I don't know when it'll start. So,
all right,
I'm trying to find out, just as you are. I hope it works out. I really do. I would love to do it again. I really, really want to do it again.
Oh, it would be wonderful. And hey, I guess one way to look at it, right, is no news is good news, maybe. I mean, at this point.
Keeping the hopes up for sure.
Yes, and we are too. We are too. In fact, thank you, Julie, again for your super chat. And Paula, again, you just answered the question, but she sent one in as well, asking if you could announce if you're in too.
Yeah.
And guys, I mean, Alex is being so transparent with us, and I appreciate that. He doesn't know. We don't know, and we just have to wait. And
I don't know. I do know Eli he's starting his own production studio. I don't know if it has anything to do with that. It's possible. It may not. I don't know, because Sony did the first one, so I'm not sure about the logistics of that. But hey, yeah, who knows? Yeah, definitely keep an eye on it though.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I will be, I'll always be touching base with you guys every now and then, saying, "Hey, man, any news? Any news?" And speaking of projects, well, we're just gonna park here for a second. Projects that you have recently worked on, let's just say, that I know that you're not at liberty to really talk about. So I do want to let everyone know, please don't ask, send in your questions asking about these particular movies because Alex just can't talk about it. It's how the business works. But I can reveal it's on IMDb, so it's public knowledge. I can share that Alex, you have worked on The Black Phone 2,
Mm-hmm.
the sequel to The Black Phone,
Yeah.
and also Frankenstein, which I'm very intrigued about.
Yeah. There's two Frankensteins coming out. I think Maggie Gyllenhaal directed one,
Yes.
and
Okay.
Guillermo del Toro also did one. Frankenstein's hot right now. So
For sure. I'm like, it's like out of nowhere, kind of the old Universal monsters. They're really trying to bring them back again, and I think that
yeah,
that can be a lot of fun.
yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, from what I saw, the one that I worked on, the Guillermo del Toro one, it looked very cool. Big epic sets for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool, and I think something you're gonna want to see in a movie theater as well.
The scale, right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
big scale for sure, for sure.
Oh, that's exciting.
Uh,
That's something to look forward to this year, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
And
yeah.
of course, the Black Phone 2, I know you can't talk about any specifics. Um, can you just kind of give us a tease of just the overall experience on set, just generalities? Like, what was it like filming the movie and doing your parts
It was
in the
great. It was great. I'm very grateful to have been a part of it because I know the first one, which I saw, was pretty great. Like,
Yeah,
in terms
yeah,
of, I mean, it's about, kidnapping kids and
right.
stuff. So, taking that into account. But other than that, I thought
Yeah,
like as a movie by itself, it was like quite entertaining actually, and quite well done. So that was
yes,
cool to be asked to work on the second one. But yeah, I mean, obviously, in terms of plot and stuff, I can't say anything.
sure,
But
sure.
I had some good involvement in there,
Okay.
uh, and I'm really excited for everyone to see it. I
Mm.
think from what I saw, I think it'll definitely live up to the first one.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic to hear because it was a really good film. And
Mhm.
Alex, once it's out and it's in theaters and it's public, I'm gonna have to ask you back so we
Oh
can
yeah,
talk
for
about
sure,
that.
absolutely, yeah.
It's gonna be amazing.
Oh yeah, we have
Um,
lots to talk about. There's a few things coming out in the horror genre, so cool.
yes. Oh, I'm excited. And yeah, you're right. This is, we're gonna have a lot more conversations, I feel, this year together here
Yeah.
on the channel. DJ Plays Favorite says that Thanksgiving was a great movie.
Hmm. Thank you very
Absolutely.
much. Thank you. We had a lot of
Yeah.
fun making it. It was a very unique experience for me, obviously because of my involvement in it, and then just the types of kills and scenes that we
Oh,
got to do. It was a very unique, something that I've
yes.
gotten to do quite like that. With tossing Karen's character Kathleen into the oven. Uh,
Oh,
the corn cobs in the ears and
yes.
and getting to crash the car into the dumpster. There's so many good ones, right? So
So many. And in fact, let's if it's okay, let's get back to Thanksgiving for a little bit longer.
sure.
Um, because it's one of my favorite films in terms of 2023. Like I told you earlier, it's probably my favorite film of the whole year. And it's on my top list of slashers, whodunit slashers.
Awesome. I love
And
it.
so it's such a good movie. And I could literally talk your ear off about it all day about my favorite scenes. But speaking of one you just brought up, so can you take us into the layer, if you will, of John Carver, which I thought was impressive?
Yeah.
The setup, everything there in the house.
Yeah.
Um, what was that like? And that was that an actual practical location or was that a set for the house? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was actually a practical location. They filmed
Thought
it
so.
that part. They filmed at a pioneer village that
Okay.
is just north of Toronto, and it's called Black Creek Pioneer Village. And they filmed there a
Okay.
lot for lots of different shows, and
Nice.
especially for like period shows. Like back in time, so a lot of the older buildings.
Yep.
And the one part, like in the barn, like when I'm looking at all the pictures on the walls of all the cast and the kids, and so that's in that one right there. That's it. That's in an old barn in the basement of a barn,
Oh
basically.
wow.
Yeah, yeah, and they just dressed it all up, and they put the oven in there as well.
Okay.
And And just in a room just off of that is where we did the all of like the cooking, and we had Kathleen on the table where I was prepping her. That
Oh,
was all in the same spot right there. And then for the upstairs portion, when she goes up the stairs, and then the chase
mhm.
continues with the pitchfork in the back and all that stuff.
Yes. Oh,
That was actually in a same village, not too far away, like just basically across a field. There's another house, and that's where
oh,
we filmed all of that stuff. But those two
okay.
locations were different.
Wow. And of course, movie magic. You couldn't tell. It's merged
Yeah,
together and it's like
totally.
one place, one
Yeah,
location.
yeah,
Now, in that scene, when you're at the dinner table, right? And you're stalking, right? Because you're trying to find, um, oh my gosh, her name just slipped my mind. I'm so sorry. Um,
Kathleen.
yes, exactly. Yes, you're exactly. It's cat and mouse time.
Yeah,
And, I love those kind of scenes because the tension gets so high.
yeah.
And you're just like, oh, you don't want to, you know, you don't want to move almost as an even watching it.
Yeah.
Um, what was it like and your mindset? How did you help form that tension in this scene? Is there anything particular, or was it just literally like stalking and I'm coming
Um,
after you kind of
I
thing?
I think it's about using the moments of silence properly.
Yes.
You know, like for
Yes.
example, when I kick in the door, and then I walk in, there's a moment where you see me look in. I'm in this like door frame, and or kind of like I'm in the kitchen looking towards the room where Kathleen is, but you can
Yes.
see her, and she knows I'm there, but I don't know
Mhm.
she's there.
I love that scene. It's an epic scene.
I love it. Yeah, it's one of my
Yes,
it's my one of my favorite frames of the movie. It's so cool,
it
and
is.
there's a moment where Eli kind of instructed me just to kind of just stand there and just slowly
Mhm.
track your eyes around the room and just give it a second because everyone's tension's building up during this,
Yeah.
right? So
Yes.
it's all timing. So
Wow.
yeah, so no, so I'm not thinking about like stalking and like just like constantly chasing in this moment. It's about just like really, yeah, just pausing and just like um yeah, it's just like
Yeah.
using that pause wisely to
Wow.
kind of figure out what her next move is going to be, if that makes sense.
It does. And, to your point, it's so incredible how powerful silence can be in these moments, without sometimes you don't need that big scary score, don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's wonderful and it really builds the scene. But in those moments where it's just like you almost hear the character breathing. It's
Yeah.
so quiet.
Well, you don't know what's going to happen. Now, you know there's going to be something, but you don't know what it's going to be. And the
No,
score, it kind of leads to what's happening in a way because they kind of
that's right.
build up, but with
Yep,
nothing, he's like, man, they could jump at any time right now. You don't know what it's going to be.
that's
So that's like the
true.
ultimate surprise.
Yes. And it's terrifying because you're just like all tensed up,
Yeah.
waiting to see what's gonna happen.
Well, there was another time when they did that too. Was when it was in Yulia's house when
Mhm.
she's coming out of her room and
Oh,
calling for her dad.
yes.
And
Oh
he
my
pops
gosh.
out, and that gives you a bit of a jump scare too. But you think it's going to be John Carver, obviously.
Exactly. Oh
Yeah,
my gosh. And then her fate. Oh my word.
yeah,
And I, Eli is known for, let's just say, not being afraid to get gory, let's just say. I think
yeah,
we all would agree.
yeah,
But I loved how I felt the approach to the gore side because there's some real gore. Let's get that right. But
yeah,
I felt like it was controlled, like just like John Carver, like all of it was. In fact, even in that scene where she gets he puts her on the saw, remember, and she gets all
yeah,
really cut up, and John Carter basically just splits. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm out of here. See ya,
yeah,
and boom, and then you have to deal with the aftermath, right? but all of those moments just continue to build that tension into saying, who is it and why is it happening? Right? This is too big. Who and the why.
Yeah.
And I love how you made John Carver make us wonder those things, and how you brought him to life in the costume. And I know that's not easy at all. And so, again, I just applaud you for your performance. I could say it all night. It was wonderful. And
Thank
I
you.
truly enjoy watching it every time. I'm like, oh, there's Alex. There he is right there.
Yeah.
And just so cool. And could you share with us also regarding Thanksgiving? Was there any particular moment that you look back on and treasured that moment more in maybe some special way, interaction? And it could be anything. But I'm just curious if there's a special memory that you'll like always have from that movie. Yeah.
Man, I could almost say something about every scene because every scene was so cool to do. I really liked the Tim Dillon scene. That was my favorite one in that movie.
Okay.
I'm a big stand-up comedy fan, and that's like all I watch. So
Okay.
being able to work with him was like, that was a big deal for me. So
Nice.
that was really cool. And then that, of course, like the whole like cat thing after that, like it's just the whole day was perfect. You know?
Wonder. Oh man.
Yeah. It was cool. But like every scene was that it had its own special moments for sure.
Yes.
Getting to work closely with Karen doing that whole chase we did that over like 4 days. That whole scene.
Wow.
And that originally wasn't even going to be in the movie, that part of it. It was just going to be originally when we shot it in the spring of 2023, which was March, April. You ended up seeing the aftermath of Kathleen like on the table. But then I think they did some like test screenings and stuff, and Sony liked it so much they wanted to, I think, put more money into it and make it a little bit longer. Beautiful. So Eli wrote how Kathleen got to that point, basically. And that's what they came back in August. We filmed for an extra 4 days, and we did all of that. And I got to know her really well. And now we've been doing conventions together all around the world. And now we're really good friends. And like, it's
oh man,
that's awesome. Cool. Yeah.
And that's so amazing. Julie, our moderator, great friend of the channel, said, seeing this for the first time, my mouth was hanging open after the diner scene, right? Like it does set the tone of like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
She even said it here. Oh my gosh. I was not expecting that dumpster part. Oh yes, gosh.
Yeah, that was a bit of a surprise for sure. You wouldn't think a dumpster would necessarily cut someone in half, but it must have been a heavy dumpster,
It was full. It was very full.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. And hey,
it must have been just the velocity that the car hit it at,
Exactly. I'm going to trust that. Trust me. I'm not going to be Mythbusters out there trying to say, run into me. Let's see what happens.
For sure. That was a fun scene to do, though, for sure. Because I was able to do the whole crash in the full outfit. I was in the mask when I did the crash. Man. And it was a tricky one to do because the special effects rig was inside of the dumpster with the prosthetics of the legs kicking. So we couldn't demolish the dumpster. So we had to come up with a way to make it look like I hit it, but keep it controlled so that we can repeat it at the same time without replacing the whole thing, because it would take forever and be expensive. So we had to basically tie off the car with a bungee cord to a big crane that was behind it. So I had this like dead stop mark that I couldn't go any further.
Okay.
So we had a rehearsal day for that to like get that figured out with a different car. To fit, so we didn't wreck the actual picture car on the day.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And so we got that dialed in, and then we just went for it. And I think we got it in one take on the day.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
And that was a long night because we did the whole diner fight, and then we came outside, and then we shot that all in one night. it was a bit,
Whoa.
yeah, it was like a 14, 15-hour day.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's one of those, there at dusk and back at dawn, and then leaving at dawn or even later,
Oh yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Lots of
wow,
nights. Yep.
for sure. Now, in terms of some of your other films, right? So let's touch a little bit. And guys, again, don't forget to send in your questions for Alex. It could be about Thanksgiving or anything that's on your mind that you'd like to ask him regarding his work. Feel free to keep sending those questions in. Super chats are always welcome, supports the channel, and it moves you to the front of the line as well. Now, we touched on some movies that you could not talk about, right? That are in post production. Black Phone 2, Frankenstein. So everybody will stay tuned on those. But looking back over a lot of your work that you've done, it's pretty impressive, in my opinion. And so, and one that jumps out to me, it's not a horror movie, but I have to just ask you a little bit about this experience on Shazam.
Yeah, sure. That was
Yeah.
one of my favorite movies to work on. I really, really enjoyed that. And that was in the height of the superhero features, when they were
Yep.
going, right around the time when all the Avengers movies were going, and
Hmm.
all of that. So that was a really cool, yeah, just a really cool time to be a part of that. And every kid wishes they can be a superhero when they're
True.
younger, and like for dress up as one for Halloween and all this stuff and pretend you're flying around. So it was pretty cool to be able to do that, in real life, and
Hmm.
put on a cape and get put on a wire, and get to fly around. And oh, that was super cool. And then
Wow.
I had the green suit. I was the stunt double for the superhero Pedro. So at the end
Okay.
of the movie, there's a carnival scene, and all of the kids they basically they put their hands on this, like, the wizard's staff, basically. Sounds kind of funny, but they all say Shazam, and then they all become the adult superheroes, but with their kid mentality. So it's basically like the Tom Hanks movie Big mixed with Superman kind of thing. But they
Yes.
all end up getting their own superpowers. And the one that I was doubling, he had the green suit on, and he had the super strength, but he could also fly too. So
Okay.
there's a scene in there. I'm doing some fight scenes against some of the seven deadly sins, which are like these big demon characters. And then I also got to do lots of, yeah, just regular flying around, And then I had to get one of the sins. They throw me onto the ground pretty far, so I have to do like a big 25-foot wire gag onto the ground and go sliding, and that was a pretty hard one.
Oh, wow.
What else? But it was just super cool. Oh yeah, and I had to go hold up this big Ferris wheel too. That was on a big gimbal, like a hydraulic gimbal that made it look like it was
Hmm.
falling over.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Okay.
So
Sure.
I had to go up, and basically, as it's falling over, I have to go and like try and like hold it up, and then like it actually feels like you're holding up this Ferris wheel. And that was
Wow.
a really cool moment as well. So yeah.
Amazing. Now, what was it like on set with the actors? Did you get a chance to have a lot of interaction with any of
Yeah,
them, or
quite a
any?
bit, because I was on the core stunt team that we call it, and so I was involved
Okay.
in coming up with all of the choreographies for that
Wow.
movie. So we were also in charge of training the actors, and making sure they were prepared properly for their any part of the action scene that they were going to be subbed in for. So yeah, I was there for like a couple months before we even started shooting that stuff, just for rehearsals, and I was able to
Wow.
talk to them and get acquainted with them quite a bit during that time. Yeah.
Man, amazing. So you logged some serious hours
Oh
on
yeah,
this one. This was a lot of your time.
it was a big time commitment for sure. Yeah, and that was
Yeah.
driving. Yeah, it was a lot of driving back and forth from Toronto to where I live, which is a couple hours. So that was it was a big thing. And then you're doing like 12 to 15-hour days every day.
Oh,
A lot.
man. That's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
How long does it take to recover from a shoot like this? I mean, you just like unplug for a week and sleep?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll definitely just, especially back then, I didn't have kids yet, so it was a little bit easier to recover. Like
Yep.
now, it's like I'm needed at home too, so
Oh man.
it's harder. It's harder to do these like full time gigs. So
Yeah.
lately, I've been doing a lot of like daily roles on stuff where I'll pop in and out whenever they need me, which is kind of at this point in my life what I prefer to do.
Yeah.
Unless it's something major like Thanksgiving too, which that's an
Mhm.
exception. Then I'll put in the
Sure.
time and the investment into that.
Absolutely, man. It makes sense. I mean, and you know what's cool about it is that, you have the ability to really kind of be your own boss, which is great because, you have the ability to say no to
Yeah,
something. You don't have to say yes to everything. And with your, I hate to use this cliche term, work-life balance, but it's true.
yeah,
Um, and nothing brings that home more than having a family, like having kids. It just changes everything. It really
100%.
does.
Yeah,
And
because
but
they,
it's
it,
oh, may have lost Alex. Alex, if you can hear me, hang tight. You're frozen on my end, but it might be my connection. So let's see what happens here. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me or not. I'd appreciate it. If anyone, Julie, if you could let me know. And if you can't hear me, then we'll just hang on for a second here. Okay, you can hear me. Okay. All right. Oops, we lost Alex. Okay, I knew it was one of our connections. No worries. We'll hang tight for Alex to come back. Are you guys having fun? I hope you're having a good time. This is, to me, this is fascinating stuff, guys. You don't get to have access like this where we can ask questions and really get some inside stories and information that we won't find it anywhere else. And then I think that's so cool. So I hope you guys are having fun. I'm having a great time personally, and I really hope you guys are too. That's why I bring on, these special guests as often as I can because they are amazing individuals, talented people, and they make these movies real. They really do, don't they? They make these movies real for us as an audience. So I just hope that everyone's having a great time as we're waiting for the connection to get restored. And my end is frozen again, but if you can hear me, then good. I will continue on as if the connection is fine. Something too that, I want to say this. If you're here and you have not seen Thanksgiving, let me just say it's one of my favorite whodunit slasher films. And I really do hope that you all have seen it or will see it if you haven't soon, because I dare to ever say, I promise you something, or I think this is going to be something that you love or general statements, but I really do believe that. Um, and here we go. We're back in. Yes, having fun. Good, Julie. Yeah, Alex is so awesome. And I just want to encourage you guys, if you haven't seen it, do see it. And oh, we got Alex's back. Hold on.
Hey guys, sorry.
Man, I had connection issues on my end at the same time, so it was weird.
You
No.
know what? My phone died completely, and I didn't realize.
Oh,
Sorry about
okay.
that.
It's
What
not a
else we
problem.
doing now?
It's all you need a stunt double for your phone. So that's the problem.
I
See?
know, right? Jeez.
No, it's good. It's all good. Glad you're back. And I was just
Thanks
sharing
for
with,
hanging in there. Appreciate it.
of course. And I was just letting folks know, like, if they haven't seen Thanksgiving, if they've been under a rock, or maybe just haven't gotten around to it. I'm guilty of that sometimes on movies I wanted to see, and it just kind of slips through the cracks. But if any of that's the case, I just was encouraging folks to be sure and watch Thanksgiving, because it is an amazing slasher whodunit, one of my favorites, um, and that again, we really are excited for the potential of what the second one will bring, and of course, with you in it. Of course, that's the caveat, which
That would be awesome.
it would be amazing. Now I have to ask you about another film as we start to wind down. We are getting close to our 1 hour time frame, and as everyone knows here in the chat, I always want to be respectful of my guests' time, because I want them to come back, and I want them to know that I appreciate you making the time to do this out of your schedule. So we'll start to kind of look towards the end of the tunnel here, and in doing so, I've never asked you about this film, but I do want to ask you about, of course, the Saw franchise is one of my favorites as well.
Yeah.
And I know that you did some work on Jigsaw as a stunt double for the character Edgar, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
could you kind of share, because I know Julie is a big Saw fan, my moderator.
Yeah.
And here she goes. No way, that's right.
Yeah.
So can you just tell us about the whole experience working on Jigsaw?
Yeah, sure. It was one of those things where I was like kind of popping in and out, so it wasn't like a ton of involvement. But in this one particular scene, it was Edgar's death scene, I believe, and it was on a rooftop, and we filmed it at an old soap factory, which is a kind of a nasty place to work. But we were outside most of the time, so that was good. But yeah, basically, I remember. It was a while back now, but I'm pretty sure the character got shot and I had to do a death for him. but I remember like in that same factory, they had a lot of other sets there as well. There was one that has I never saw the movie, actually. That's funny enough. But there's a big like grinder looking thing that someone got lowered into, and that was in that same location, so I got to check out that whole thing, which was really cool. And that was like legit. Wow. They actually built that, and it looked very real.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh, I tell you, just and I know that being on you're being on set, you're behind the you're seeing how the magic works, but how does it feel to be on the set of a Saw movie with where you're looking at traps and you're seeing these?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And I haven't watched a lot of Saw movies, but I knew all about them, and it was cool. I knew it was going to be, something special for people. The fact that there's been that many of them, like there's someone's watching these movies, Julie in particular. So
yes, Julie is absolutely watching them. Yes, you're right. She is our Saw aficionado, if you will, on the channel.
Yeah. I'm glad the hard work we put in was appreciated. So very cool.
Oh, absolutely. One more film, and then we're gonna like I say, we'll start to talk about what upcoming things you can talk about and things. But you were in the remake of Poltergeist, right? And can you tell us again just about that experience and any insight about you maybe want to share behind the scenes?
Yeah, it was a very fun experience. I got to stunt double for Sam Rockwell, who's a very great actor. And he was very humble and down to earth to talk to as well. Got to do some cool action scenes for him. I remember one of them was I had to go flying back into like a kid's set of tables and chairs, and it was in his daughter's room in the movie. Basically, she was kind of like in the closet, and she was like possessed or whatever. She's in the closet looking the other way, and then he's trying to get her attention. She's not answering, and he's going up, and he turns her around, and she's got this like crazy face, and scares the crap out of him, and then he kind of like goes back and flies back into this table and chairs and crushes everything. So I got to do that for him.
Wow, that is cool.
Yeah, and that was all they built this house, the inside of it. Actually, even the the exterior of it, it was all in a studio. It wasn't
Okay.
outside in a location. So that was
All
kind of
right.
yeah.
So a controlled environment, if you will.
Yeah.
Um, but and again, I know this is like, I'm sure for you, this is like a walk in the park. You're not even breaking a sweat. But when you're talking about a scene like this, where you know you've got the rig is the stunt rigging on, right? And I won't begin to try to act like I know what these things are all called, but you have the system on you, or the pulleys or whatever.
Yep.
And I know it's coming. Like, when your dentist says, "Okay, this is going to hurt a little, sting a little bit," and that means it's going to hurt like fire.
Yeah.
So what is it like when the director calls action, and it's a matter of her turning around, and then bam, you're just yanked back or whatever. What can you put us into your body, if you will, and let us kind of experience that, if you in a way, if we could.
Yep. Yep. It's something that I've done many, many times. I'm kind of like the wire guy. I've been like, yeah, I do a lot of doubling, and so it's a position I get put into a lot, and I'm pretty I fly through the air well. That's something that I'm known for.
Okay.
Not everyone can ride a wire properly. Like some bigger, like more muscular guys, they're just really they can tend to be heavy. It depends on who they are and their performing background, of course. But a lot of guys it takes the right background to be able to ride a wire properly. And it's something that I've been lucky enough to do a lot of. And so before getting prepped for that sort of thing, I know what to expect now. You have a harness on. It's not the most comfortable thing in the world to have on. You don't really want to eat too much before you cinch up really tight, and it has to be quite tight.
Yeah.
And you just kind of you're ready to get it done. Once you know that when you go in for that particular performing day, and that's what you have to do, you're like, you just want to get it over with, and you hope that you get out of it without any broken bones or anything. Because when you are on a wire, you are at the mercy of the stunt riggers and some other elements that may not be completely in your control. Such as, let's say you have an action with another actor, and the other actor's throwing you into your wire pull or something. If they throw you just the wrong way, well, then your body's going to go maybe in not the best position for the impact, right? So there's lots of things that can happen. And when I was first starting out, I loved the idea of wire work. I thought, man, I don't even have to do anything. I just go for the ride, and then that's the stunt. Great. But then it wasn't until I was on the movie Suicide Squad, where I was stunt doubling the character Diablo. In the finale of the scene, I had to get kicked backwards by another villain, a super villain named Incubus. And I had to get kicked backwards 60 feet on a wire, which is still to this day one of the longest wire rides. We call it a ratchet.
Okay.
Which is a big hydraulic piston that compresses and pulls the wire through a series of pulleys, and then you get yanked backwards as a result. Wow. So those are one of the biggest ones that I've seen done still. And usually with the really, really far ones, there's a lot of room for error.
Yeah.
I had to get kicked backwards. I went up over a flight of stairs, like an 8 flight of stairs, and then through a shop window and then into a wooden wall.
Goodness.
After I hit the shop window, which was all breakaway and made to look all messy when I broke through it, my legs swung behind me. I was supposed to keep going straight back and hitting my back off the wall, which would have been fine. I had a back pad on. It would have hurt a bit, but it would have been fine. Unfortunately, after I hit the breakaway window, my legs swung behind me like this, and I couldn't swing it back in time, and it just got all mangled up in the wall.
Oh no!
And it hit really hard, like the hardest I've ever hit anything. And I knew immediately it was broken, and I had never broken anything before that.
Oh gosh, that must have hurt. Man.
Yeah. And
Ah.
I just got through it until they called cut, and then I just had to yell for help, and then they came running, and then went to the hospital.
Wow.
And I lost out on some work after that for about 6 months, unfortunately. I was supposed to go out on to X-Men Apocalypse like a week after that, and I had to decline that, unfortunately, because of that.
Oh man.
Yeah.
That's just like adding, salt in the wound almost, if you will.
Yeah, it sucked. It sucked pretty bad. But I'm back now. I recovered properly. I never think about it anymore. I can totally do everything now. So yeah.
Wonderful. Erica is happy about that as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
I'm glad too. It's nice. I'm very lucky not to think about it anymore. I don't have any hardware in my ankle. It was a weird break. It was a spinal fracture on my left fibula, which they didn't let me put any weight on for a long time. But at the same time, I didn't have any screws or anything that limit my mobility or anything now. So now it feels like it did before.
Oh,
and supposedly it's stronger now because the bone is thicker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. That's good news, obviously. And that it was able to be healed, quote, naturally versus, like you say, the pins or screws. And because once that stuff goes in, it could always cause problems down the road. And in your business, your professional career, that's something you just don't want to you can't afford to play around with that kind of injuries and reoccurring things, obviously. But this has been fascinating, Alex. I really enjoyed our discussion as always.
Me too.
Tonight, and it was great to venture into some other films you've done and giving us some insight we've never heard. And when we watch those movies again, we're going to remember those scenes. And there's Alex, like in Jigsaw. Pardon me. When you're on the roof, well, we know when Edgar gets killed, we know who we're looking at.
There you go. Yeah. Totally.
So awesome. So guys, listen, I want to ask you all to please follow Alex on Instagram. Julie has been posting his link to his Instagram account. It's in the chat. All you've got to do is simply click that. You'll go right to it. Smash that follow button, and let's continue to grow his channel, or his Instagram, I should say, with Cravenites. And Erica says I followed, so thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Excuse me. Wonderful. And thank you, Julie, for posting it again fresh. I appreciate that. So, Alex, as we wrap up and say goodnight, is there anything you want to leave us with as far as any teasers about anything coming up you're going to work on, or anything in general?
Yeah, I mean, definitely check out Frankenstein by Guillermo del Toro when it comes out. That's going to be a good one. Check out Welcome to Derry. It's directed by Andy Muschietti, who did the It 1 and 2 movies. So it's going to look really good and have some consistency there. Definitely something to check out. And I had lots of involvement in that one too. What else is there? Twisted Metal season 2. You might see me in there if you are interested in that.
Absolutely. Love season 1.
Did you? Cool.
I did.
Nice. Yeah, season 2 just filmed here last summer. So yeah, we did some cool stuff on it.
Oh my gosh.
Lots of fun driving and yeah, lots of good action for sure. So
I want to talk to you more about that next time, maybe even offline.
Sure.
I love that series so much, the first season.
Yeah.
But that's exciting, guys. So in season 2 of Twisted Metal, Alex is going to be on your screen.
Yeah.
So,
and hey, it's a Canadian show, but if you I think it's on the US Netflix. It's called Murdoch Mysteries. It's kind of it's a little bit of a cheesy show, but it's been on for like 18 seasons, and I did this really cool fight scene that's on tomorrow. It airs tomorrow.
No way.
So, yeah, it's kind of I can't say too much yet, but
okay.
But it's pretty cool. Yeah,
Ooh.
So check that out if you're interested.
That's dude, I will, honestly. That's fantastic, because I know I'm familiar with I always see the thumbnail of the Murdoch Mysteries on my Prime or whatever, one of the streamings.
Yeah.
And That's fantastic.
It's a Canadian show. It's based in Toronto, like back in 1800s, and then the 1800s, yeah, and then it goes into the early 1900s as well, and it's a well done show,
Okay.
So
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow
night's episode.
Yeah. I'm not sure on the time for you, but definitely check it out. And it'll be the new episode coming out.
There you go. We can Google that, guys, and let's watch that. I'm gonna watch it. That's exciting.
Yeah, let me know what you think.
I sure will. And so thank you for sharing those tidbits with us for what you're working on and what's to come. And it's been a real pleasure, Alex. I've had a blast, and I hope you've had a good time as well.
Absolutely. I always do. Thank you for having me again.
My pleasure.
Thank you everyone for watching. I appreciate it.
Yes, absolutely. Everyone watching now and watching in the future on the replay, thank you for being here and getting to get some great new insight to many films that Alex has worked on. Julie, you're most welcome. Julie says thank you. And
Julie.
we thank Alex for his time. So Alex, I'm going to meet you backstage here in just a few moments, and we'll say our goodbyes.
Sure.
But to everyone in the chat, we're going to call it a night. Julie, thank you for moderating. You did an amazing job as always. Thank you for everyone who donated a super chat for the channel and for being here and being a part of this special night with Alex. You guys have a wonderful week, and I'll be streaming again very soon. So you guys know, keep your eyes open, subscribe to the channel, like the video, like this stream. Much appreciated. And until next time, we'll see you then. Thanks again, Alex. And
bye, everybody.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you. See you next time.